Thank you. Please be seated. And I want to make sure that the microphone works. I just turned it on. I assume it does. It's a new day in Portsmouth. In fact, it's a new bright day in Portsmouth. And good afternoon, and welcome to the wonderful city of Portsmouth, and welcome to this year's State of the City Luncheon. So that I won't hold you in suspense, I can tell you with confidence and enthusiasm that the state of our city is bright and is ready to prosper in the future. And before I go too much further, I want to thank some very important people. And I'll start with the citizens of Portsmouth. And thank you for allowing me to serve as mayor of the city of Portsmouth. And I want to also thank Governor Terry McAuliffe and his cabinet, especially Secretary of Transportation Aubrey Lane, and our General Assembly delegation, Senator Louise Lucas, who's here, Senator Mamie Locke, Senator John Cosgrove, Delegate Matthew James, and I don't know if Matthew made it back. I know that he was up in Richmond, and Delegate Steve Herrick. We saw a lot of each other over the last 3 months, working hard to get some very important legislation approved in the General Assembly session, the 2017 session, and also to bring about toll reform and toll relief on our toll situation here in Portsmouth. And so thank you, Senator, and thank you, Governor, for what you did. Also, I want to recognize our school board, and the lights are bright, so bear with me. I'd like for all the members of the Portsmouth School Board to stand, please. And let's give them a round of applause. They're over there. I see Claude Parent, the chairman of our school board, and Dr. Bracey, our school superintendent, is here. And thank you for what you do for our city and for our children. Thank you, sir. Also, I want to thank our local business leaders, both large businesses and small businesses, to our nonprofit, to our volunteers. You mean so much to this city. Thank you for your commitment to making our city great. And to our hardworking city employees, and I know that there are some in here, who come to work every day, working for the people of Portsmouth and doing a great job. It's my honor to work along beside you. And lastly, to my colleagues on City Council who are sitting here at this second table, and to the city manager and to the city clerk and the city attorney. I'm so proud to be part of a team with such outstanding folks as you, and it's my pleasure to work in partnership with you for our great city. As you know, and I hope you know this, that with the election of November 8th, 2016, we got 3 new council members. And so a new city council took office on January 1, 2017. And it's not unusual for someone to say, well, what do you plan to get done in the first 100 days? Well, the first 100 days came on April 10th, 9 days ago. And let me tell you that my teammates have gotten a lot done. And because this is a chamber event, and because the chamber is about creating a healthy business environment, I am proud to report to you that our city council has taken great strides to make Portsmouth an even friendlier business place, a place that is friendly to business and business growth. Let me give you an example. One of our deterrents to economic development is our current zoning ordinance, and we are working unanimously with the Planning Commission to redo that ordinance. I like to say we're blowing up the old ordinance and coming up with a new one. So it's a new day in Portsmouth. And because we're talking about economics, there are three components to a thriving economy. The first is good paying jobs. The second is good paying jobs. And the third, good paying jobs. And jobs is going to be a big, the job theme is going to be a big part of today's address. We live in a region of 1.8 million people living within 17 jurisdictions. And because of the size of the region, it's really hard to really get to know our neighboring localities. And think about it. If you live in Portsmouth, you may not know that much about Hampton or Virginia Beach. And if you live at the beach, you may not know that much about Portsmouth. And we have misconceptions about our neighbors. And I am really sure, that there are people within our region who don't have the good luck and good fortune to live in Portsmouth who have some misconceptions about Portsmouth. And let's just call those the Portsmouth assumptions. And so today, instead of making this a speech, I want to make it more of a conversation where I take the opportunity to dispel those assumptions that people may have of Portsmouth and explain to you the importance of Portsmouth to our regional economy, to the Commonwealth of Virginia, and to the United States. Now, if you look at a map of Hampton Roads, you'll see that Portsmouth is right in the geographic center of Hampton Roads. We are an old city with a lot of history. We are a diverse city with rich neighborhoods that are the very heart and soul of our city. We're home to global businesses and local entrepreneurs that thrive. We have a very beautiful and vibrant downtown that others try to emulate by building such things as a town center. That was not meant to be funny, but because you laughed, think about it. Those town centers lack the ambiance of our high street, the mature trees, the brick paved sidewalks that we have, and the architecture that you see with a building that goes back to the 1800s. Our city, as I said, is steeped in history. In fact, our history goes back to the earliest days of our founding of this country. Right outside this hotel is a southern branch of the Elizabeth River. And in 1620, the same year that the Pilgrims were settling Plymouth Rock, a fellow by the name of John Wood, a shipbuilder, sailed up the southern branch of the Elizabeth River. And he was impressed by the depth of the river, and he was impressed by the stand of the timber, the trees by the riverbank. And he thought this would be an ideal spot to build a shipyard. And so he petitioned the London Company for a land grant and actually got a land grant from King James I to build a shipyard. Now, that was a guy of vision. We don't know exactly the location of Mr. Wood's shipyard today, But we do know the location of a shipyard that was established in 1767. And you're saying, wait a minute, 1767, that's older than the country. That was the Gosport Shipyard, which is the forerunner of the Norfolk Naval Shipyard. And I like to tell people that that was my dad's shipyard. I thought my father owned that shipyard when I was about 4 years old. He was an electrician in the shipyard. And I want to tell you that the Norfolk Naval Shipyard is the oldest and the largest Navy yard in the United States. It is the fourth largest employer in Hampton Roads. It has 15,000 jobs, 15,000 highly skilled industrial and professional jobs. In fact, here's a piece of trivia. There are 2,200 engineers that are part of that 15,000 workforce. Now, that's the highest concentration of engineers anywhere on the south side of Hampton Roads. Think about that. In fact, I'm going to claim that it's the highest concentration of engineers anywhere in Hampton Roads because NASA Langley only has 1,200 engineers. 1,200. And we have here, with these 15,000 highly skilled jobs, the capability of taking a submarine or aircraft carrier that's 40 years old, putting it in a large dry dock, and completely overhauling that ship from bow to stern, from top to bottom, making it totally modern, and giving it back to the Navy so that it can live and operate and defend our country and the world for another 2 decades or more without leaving the shipyard. And if we were to rebuild that shipyard today from scratch, it would take an investment of $3.7, almost $4 billion to replicate that shipyard. That shipyard is important to our nation. It's important to the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's important to Hampton Roads. Now, if you're a crow, as the crow flies, less than 2 miles north of the shipyard is the oldest continually operated naval hospital in the United States. Navy Medical Center, Portsmouth. I'd rather call it the Portsmouth Navy Hospital. And let me tell you, this is a world-class medical facility employing 7,000 people who provide the highest quality medical care to our active duty military, to their family and dependents, and to retirees. And their presence here in Hampton Roads has made a difference on the delivery and the quality of health care in Hampton Roads. Think of the number of Navy doctors who have fallen in love with Portsmouth and our region and have retired here, not to put away their stethoscope, but to go into private practice with their specialty. In fact, the doctors that I go to, half of the medical staff are Navy docs who retired from the Portsmouth Naval Hospital. This is also a teaching hospital. It's been a teaching hospital for almost 100 years, since 1924. And because it's a teaching hospital, it does state-of-the-art medical research right here in Portsmouth. And so let's do the math. 15,000 at the Norfolk Navy Yard, and 7,000 at the Naval Hospital. That's 22,000 highly skilled jobs here in Portsmouth. But we're not going to stop there. Let's walk down the street, 1 block south of here, and you come to our federal building. And I want you to just to stand for a sec, not stand, but I want you to visualize a virtual map of the United States. In fact, let's put it up there on that curtain. And I want you to think about this as being the Rocky Mountains right here, okay? Now, go east with me to the Mississippi River. Come over here to the East Coast. Go through the whole Atlantic Ocean. Go through Europe, the Mediterranean. Get to the Middle East. Get to the Arabian Gulf, or you can call it the Persian Gulf. And that is the Coast Guard's Atlantic Area Command. It covers 40 states and 5 of the 9 Coast Guard districts. And I tried to count the counties, the countries. There are about 29 countries at least that are covered in this area. But here's the mind-boggling statistic. It covers 5 million square miles of ocean and inland waterways. And remember, it goes from the cold spots of the Rockies to the hot spots of the Persian Gulf. And that command is located right here in Portsmouth with its commanding officer, a 3-star admiral, Vice Admiral Carl Schultz, located right here. An important command to not only to our country, but to our international partners. In that same building is the 5th Coast Guard District Command. And the 5th Coast Guard District covers the states of North Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, parts of Pennsylvania, and our national capital. And that command is right here, commanded by Rear Admiral Meredith Austin. Right here in Portsmouth. And then within Portsmouth also, we have Coast Guard Base Portsmouth out in West Norfolk. And with that base, we have 17 operational components. We have the captain of the port of Hampton Roads, the person that is responsible for every craft that comes into Hampton Roads, whether it's a pleasure craft, a container ship, or a military ship. The captain of the port has the authority to close the port if there's a severe weather threat, has the authority to close the port if there's a national security threat, right here in Portsmouth. We also have at that base the maintenance of all the navigational aids. I happened to be out there one day, too, when I saw a very tactical unit dressed in their battle dress uniforms, which happened to be black, get on a fast boat, and it was hard to tell whether or not they were Navy SEALs or Army Special Forces, right here in Portsmouth. Now, I'm going to brag a little bit. This is why we're a Coast Guard city. We're the only Coast Guard city in Hampton Roads. But with the Atlantic Area Command, with the 5th Coast Guard District, with Coast Guard Base Portsmouth, we have another 2,400 jobs. We're up over 24,000 jobs in Portsmouth. In Portsmouth. All right. Let's talk about our first name. Our first name is Port, or Portsmouth, the mouth of the port. And I'm going to shift gears, and I want to talk about the Port of Virginia, the Port of Hampton Roads, the Virginia Port Authority. You may know this, but if you don't, 1 out of every 10 jobs in Virginia is directly related to the port. Think about that. That's a lot. That's a large chunk of the state's economy. Now, the Virginia Port Authority has 4 operations in Hampton Roads, 4 terminals that they operate. One in Newport News, one in Norfolk International Terminal, and two in Portsmouth. Portsmouth Marine Terminal, which is the older of the 2 at Prentice Point, whose wharf is about 3,500 and some odd feet long, pretty long. And Virginia International Gateway, and you might remember that as the Maersk facility that was opened in 2007, which was the most modern port facility in the world, state-of-the-art, when it opened in 2007. And the largest construction job in Hampton Roads that had ever taken place at that time, it was $500 million. So 50% of what the port operates in Hampton Roads is in Portsmouth. And let's talk about the port. We have an awesome port. 2015 was the best year ever in volume until 2016 came. And 2016 beat 2015 by 4%. And here we are. We've got January, February, March done in 2017, and it's 8% better. 8% better in volume than the same 3 months last year. We are the busiest rail port on the East Coast. The busiest. Now, here's a trivia question. And you'll say, why is he asking this question? I want you to name the 6th tallest building in the United States. And if you need a hint, it's located in New York, and it's the 4th tallest building in New York. You know the answer? What is it? No, it's not the Empire State Building, but it is the Bank of America Tower. Bank of America Tower is 1,200 feet tall, okay? And they call it the boat. Now, get it? Bank, B-O-A-T, boat. But what an appropriate acronym. Visualize taking that tower and move it from the vertical position to the horizontal position. That's the length of the ship that is going to call on Portsmouth on May 8th, the largest ship that's ever called on the East Coast. The Costco development. Now, hang on to your hat. That's 13,092 containers. And Carol and I have a little joke when a tractor trailer passes by. We say, I wonder how many flip-flops are in that container. How many flip-flops can be in 13,092 containers? And when that ship comes to Portsmouth and docks at Virginia International Gateway, 4,000 containers will either come off the ship or go on the ship. And that's twice as many that's typically handled on a typical container ship. Now, our local Walmarts and Targets can only take so many containers. So where do the rest of them go? They go to Columbus and Cleveland and Cincinnati and Louisville and Chicago. They go to the heartland of America. And so maybe we ought to petition the governor and the owners of Virginia International Gateway and have them change the name to Portsmouth, the gateway to the heartland of America. And let me add to this. The state under our current governor, was able to negotiate a new lease for the what was the land owned by, or the facility owned by Maersk. And because of that long-term lease, the state now can justify putting money into that. And it's not a small sum of money. The construction has already started to enlarge that facility. $320.5 million. The construction started several months ago. It will take 3 years, and it's going to double the capacity of our facility in Hampton and in West Norfolk. Double the capacity. It will add 800 feet to a wharf that's already 4,000 feet long. When that's done, we'll have almost 1.6 miles of wharf in Portsmouth. We're prepared. We are prepared for the future. And so I want you to think, if the world didn't have Portsmouth, if our country did not have Portsmouth, if our Commonwealth didn't have Portsmouth, where would they be? Well, these jobs wouldn't be here. They may not be in Hampton Roads. They may not be in Virginia. So fundamentally, Portsmouth is important to our country and really internationally. Important to the Commonwealth of Virginia, important to Hampton Roads. Now, you're wondering, maybe, what's been going on in Portsmouth over the last 12 months? We have a short video that we're going to show you that kind of encapsulates what's been going on, and it has a tagline, and it's called The Right Side of the River. Not implying that there's a wrong side of the river. Now, the logic is, you're in a boat that's coming through the Chesapeake Bay into the Hampton Roads, and you're coming up the Elizabeth River. Where is Portsmouth? Starboard side. I can tell you're a bunch of landlubbers. It's on the right side of the river. So join with me as we watch this video.
Portsmouth, Virginia, our future is bright on the right side of the river. While Portsmouth will always be a city steeped in history, we are very excited about the future. 2016 brought a wave of new development that will continue into 2017, and the action starts at our waterfront. In September, Governor McAuliffe announced a $320 million investment that will double the capacity of the Virginia International Gateway Container Terminal. The logistics provider Interchange Group is investing over $11 million in a 200,000 square foot warehouse development. And tugboat operator the Vane Brothers Company has invested $1.5 million in a new 15,000 square foot office building. Traffic flow to and from Portsmouth has improved dramatically with the opening of the expanded Midtown Tunnel and the Martin Luther King Connector. And Portsmouth's charming and historic downtown is becoming even more livable. 9 new apartment developments are adding 800 rental units with an investment of over $100 million. Millennials and empty nesters are walking, biking, and riding the ferry to work while enjoying unique dining, shopping, and entertainment in the historic downtown. Retailers have taken notice. A new brew pub, a distillery, and a microbrewery are all slated to open this year. The Norfolk Naval Shipyard is one of the largest in the world, specializing in ship repair, overhauling, and modernization. Join us as we celebrate the shipyard's 250th anniversary, an important past, a vital future. While economic development is important, education is crucial. That's why we're dedicated to making Portsmouth a lifelong learning city.
As part of the Portsmouth community, we take great pride in what we do.
We are forging a renewed partnership between our schools, parents, and businesses in order to make Portsmouth the school system of choice in Hampton Roads.
I come here, my mom teaches here, so I come here and I visit the students every now and then. I maybe go to a couple of classrooms, but for them to do this and the school board and the school to put this together, and get some pieces. I didn't even know they had all this stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. I remember this forever.
Through this partnership, we will be laser focused on education and full accreditation. And our partnership with Tidewater Community College will give our students technical training for the jobs of today and tomorrow.
Our work is never done. Our students are our future, and we invest every day in their dreams, their goals, and their ideas. We are proud to have such wonderful teachers and students in our great port city.
Portsmouth neighborhoods are just as diverse as the people who live in them. Our new housing developments provide a family-friendly atmosphere for our growing population. Our citizens are more engaged than ever. Build One Portsmouth is bringing us together to plan for our future, and community engagement is a critical element of the city's budget planning process. The police department is building trust and rapport with programs like neighborhood walks and coffee with a cop. Historic Old Town is home to one of America's largest collections of architecturally significant homes and churches. Its unique specialty stores and one-of-a-kind restaurants make for an enjoyable place to spend the day. The Children's Museum of Virginia is the state's largest and most awesome kids' kingdom. Visitors learn about our rich history at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard Museum, the Portsmouth Colored Community Library Museum, the Lightship Portsmouth, and the Hill House Museum. And add to that our lively arts and entertainment scene, outstanding golf, outdoor fun, and one of Virginia's finest conference hotels. It's easy to see why thousands of boaters on the Intracoastal Waterway rate Portsmouth as one of their favorite ports. A growing economy, improving schools, diverse and exciting neighborhoods, engaged citizens, compelling history, and lots of fun. We believe that our future is bright on the right side of the river.
Thank you. Thank you. Wasn't that great? Yes. Yeah. Gives you goosebumps. And so I'm going to charge each one of you, whether you live in Portsmouth or not, to be ambassadors of Portsmouth. The next time you're standing in line at Starbucks, tap the person in front of you on the shoulder and say, "Did you know this about Portsmouth? They have 24,000 jobs that are located just less than 2 miles apart." If you're at Kroger Marketplace, do the same thing as you're opening up the milk refrigerator. Hey, did you realize that the Atlantic Command that takes up half the world, that is important to our national security, is located here in Portsmouth? Do that for me. You promise? Yes. All right. Now I'm obligated. I'm obligated by the Surgeon General to give you a medical warning. Okay? You know the warnings that you see on different products? Well, I've been asked to do this orally. You run the risk of causing injury to your eyes when you step out of this hotel into the Portsmouth bright environment. And so you've got to put these sunshades on because Portsmouth's future is bright. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, Louise.